It was the mid-90s, and Quentin Tarantino was about to put his stamp on the Halloween franchise. Following the success of Reservoir Dogs and his screenplay for True Romance, Miramax saw an opportunity. The offer? To write the 6th installment of the iconic Halloween series. And in true Tarantino form, it was going to be wild. His vision centered around Michael Myers going on a bloody road trip with one of the most mysterious characters from the Halloween franchise. And it had lots of early Natural Born Killers vibes. But Tarantino would only get the job under one condition. So, why didn't it work out? We'll get to that later because we're just getting started. Today, we're counting down the 7 strangest Halloween sequels never made. And even though some of them are really out there, I gotta say, it is refreshing to see Michael do some fun new things like go to space or explore the multiverse, as opposed to doing the same thing over and over and over again. Number 7. Halloween in Space. Alright, let's start with something out of this world. Ever wondered how Michael Myers would fare in zero gravity? In the early 90s, New Line Cinema almost answered that question by sending our beloved Shape of Evil to space. And if you're shaking your head thinking John Carpenter would never approve, well, surprise, it was his idea. Carpenter had floated the concept while working with New Line on In the Mouth of Madness. Given his love for 50s sci-fi and his growing frustration with the repetition of the Halloween sequels, this space concept may have been his vision to refresh and rejuvenate the series. He even envisioned a tongue-in-cheek approach because he didn't feel like Michael was scary anymore. Unfortunately, we'll never get to see Michael stalking astronauts as Miramax outbid Carpenter and New Line, scooping up the rights to the Halloween series. In the end, Miramax decided to send a different horror icon, Pinhead, more on him later in this video, into space. And they sent Michael to see Paul Rudd's debut acting skills.
I need to see a doctor.
What seems to be the problem?
It's my baby. There's been an accident.
What kind of accident?
Get me a doctor, now!
Number 6. Halloween 3D. If you're going to make a third entry in your horror franchise, it'd be kinda rude if you didn't make it 3D. And that's what Dimension Films was thinking when they put together a follow-up to Rob Zombie's 2007 disappointment, Halloween 2. They commissioned Todd Farmer and Patrick Lussier, the talents behind My Bloody Valentine 3D, to take the franchise in a direction as far as possible from whatever the this was.
Can we be a family again?
Not yet, Michael.
The story would have been a roller coaster. Laurie kills Dr. Loomis, teams up with Michael, gets committed, and then ends her life to escape Michael's curse. All in glorious 3D. Plus, there'd be a nostalgic nod to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, with Tom Atkins returning, and a Silver Shamrock cameo.
4 days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. In 4 days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
But sadly, the movie never saw the light of day, as Farmer and Lussier had to abandon the project to work on a different visionary 3D film that you may have heard of. Drive Angry. Number 5. Attack of the 50-Foot Michael. That's right, a gigantic Michael Myers looming over a drive-in movie screen was originally going to be the climax for Halloween 4, but instead we got this. Horror writer Dennis Etchison was tasked by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill to write this offbeat script. It offered a psychological deep dive into the aftermath of Michael's reign of terror. No, not like that. The story spotlighted the children from the original, grappling with their traumatic past.
Evil dies tonight!
Stop it! While questioning Dr. Loomis's role in Michael's descent into madness.
Hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
Well, that one actually makes sense. It played with ideas of Michael being more phantom than man, virtually bulletproof, and capable of nightmarish attacks. But, as it often happens, the studio wasn't ready for this massive leap. When producers decided not to finance the script, Carpenter and Hill reached a breaking point and sold their rights to the series.
He's got pins in his head.
What you think of as pain is only a shadow. Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you.
Number 4, Michael Myers vs. Pinhead. The hardest part of doing a movie mashup is finding a logical reason for the characters to cross over that still feels like a solid standalone story. And in the 1990s, there was a pretty good one being tossed around for the collab between these two horror icons. As filmmaker Dave Parker told Fangoria Corner, "I was just trying to come up with a plausible way to get these two guys together to fight. So, why does he all of a sudden go out and kill his sister in Halloween? He's trick-or-treating in a flashback, and he goes up to this one house and sees the guy with the black boots who gives him the box. He opens it, and the Lord of the Dead, Sam Hain, escapes from hell and takes over Michael's body because he doesn't want to be in hell. Now, Sam Hain is who the Shape is, and that's why he can't be killed." This project came to light after Freddy vs. Jason was a smash hit, raking in over $116 million on a budget of just $30 million. Dimension Films went right to the sources, bringing Clive Barker, the creator of Hellraiser, in to pen the script and John Carpenter to direct it. But the one person they couldn't get on board was perhaps the most important one, Mustafa Akkad, the long-standing rights holder of the Halloween franchise. Okay, so we've seen a lot of different Michaels throughout this video, and throughout this whole franchise, really showcasing the versatility of this blank canvas of a mask. Each mask oddly seems to reflect the state of horror at the time, and if you can't pick a favorite, well, don't worry, because the number 1 movie on our list introduces a whole Michael multiverse. But first, number 3. Quentin Tarantino's Halloween 6. Imagine, natural-born killers, but with Michael Myers. When Tarantino came on board to write Halloween 6, Miramax gave him one condition. He had to come up with an explanation for who the mysterious Man in Black character was that was briefly introduced in Halloween 5. His solution was to send the character on a road trip with Michael.
For God's sakes, he can't drive a car. He was doing very well last night.
In his own words, the first 20 minutes would have been the Lee Van Cleef dude and Michael Myers on the highway, on the road, and they stop at coffee shops and and wherever Michael Myers stops, he kills everybody. So they're like leaving a trail of bodies on Route 66. Unfortunately, Tarantino's vision never even made it to his script, and instead, the task of defining the Man in Black went on to writer Daniel Farrens, with confusing results to say the least. Oh, and Tarantino left the project to pursue a little film called Pulp Fiction. And I think we can all agree, worst decision of his career. Number 2, The Shape of Frankenstein. Yes, I am taking some creative liberties with the title here, but back in the early 90s, there was a pitch to bring Michael Myers back with the innocence of Frankenstein's monster. After the resounding success of Halloween 4, a sequel was immediately greenlit, and the studio was ready for pitches. One idea from screenwriter Robert Harders took the shape that had once been referred to as the embodiment of evil and said, "What if we make him nice?" Mustafa Akkad wasn't interested in taking the franchise anywhere experimental. but I think there was some cool stuff here. Instead of the embodiment of pure evil, Michael was a misunderstood creature fighting for survival, unintentionally causing harm along the way. And who better to understand this complexity than Dr. Loomis himself? Harders wanted to explore the dynamic between him and Michael in a very Frankenstein and his monster manner. What if Michael wasn't evil, but broken? And that brings us to number 1, Dr. Loomis and the Multiverse of Michaels. Do you have a franchise that's become overly complicated? Are you having trouble keeping track of what's canon anymore?
That Strode girl, that's Michael Myers' sister.
Wasn't it her brother?
No, that's just a bit that some people made up.
Then you might be interested in a multiverse. That was writer Steph Hutchinson's thinking when she made the jump from Halloween comic book writer to Halloween movie pitch writer in 2007. He envisioned not just one new movie, but an entire new trilogy: Rise of the Boogeyman, The Witching Hour, and Fires of Samhain. The first movie would see Michael murder the family of a young Sam Loomis. The second would be more of a psychological thriller focusing on a damaged Loomis being driven to the brink of insanity by Michael. And the third one went balls to the wall, revealing a multiverse that could house every version of Michael Myers ever created, offering an in-universe explanation for all the differing storylines. But, like we've seen many times in this list, the studio wasn't ready for such a radical transformation, and the trilogy idea got scrapped. Maybe one day we'll see one of these lost sequels come to life. After all, they're gonna need to figure out something to do with the franchise after Jamie Lee. Just be thankful that this series hasn't been stuck in legal battles like its cousin Friday the 13th. But we'll talk more about that one in another video. Until then, this has been Behind the Screams.